What's up YouTube? I'm Nick and welcome to the first video on Dirt Devils TV. Today we're going to do a review on the 1/10 scale Redcat Ascent. We'll go through the truck, I'll tell you about the free mods I did right out of the box, we'll do a little testing, go over my first impressions, install a bunch of upgrades, go over the new upgrades, test it again with the upgrades, and finish up with my final thoughts after the truck has been upgraded and tested. Please don't forget to hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe to stay updated. Without further ado, let's dive on in. All right, so this is the 1/10 scale Redcat Ascent. Brand new, they are about $320. You can get them at most local hobby stores directly through Redcat's website or multiple places online like Amazon or A-Main Hobbies. We'll go over a little bit of the tech specs here first. I got a sheet here to read off to you because I'll probably forget some stuff if I don't do this. It is my first video after all. So it comes with a 42 turn 550 brush motor. Transmission's obviously forward and reverse. It does have a drag brake. It is 4-wheel drive. The length is 17.5 inches or 444 millimeters. Width 9.5 inches or 242 millimeters. Height 8.4 inches, 213 millimeters. Wheelbase is 12.3 inches or 313 millimeters. Under the axles, it has about 2.1 inches of ground clearance or 54 millimeters, and under the center, it has about 2.8 inches of ground clearance or 70 millimeters. It comes with a 35 kg Metal Gear waterproof servo capable of 42 kg at 8.4 volts. It's a 3 millimeter flat steel chassis. The wheel width is a 1.9 and the overall tire diameter is a 4.6 out of the box. Comes with aluminum body oil-filled shocks, a 40 amp brushed ESC with a 5 amp 7.4 volt BEC. Radio system is an RTX 4C 4-channel. It is adjustable EPA on all channels. Only things you're going to have to get out of the box are 4 AA batteries, a 2S or 3S LiPo or 5 through 9 cell NIMP battery, and a battery charger. So I'll give you a little look around of everything here quick. Obviously I've already taken the bed off. Pull that out for y'all so you can see it. So this is the bed that comes on it. There's little screw mounting holes here, and I'll show you those on the other side of the body because they're till attached. The reason I'm running it without the body right now is because some of the mods I'm going to do, I'm going to be completely eliminating that bed altogether, so there's no point in me having it on here. And I kind of like the look a little bit more than I do with the bed on it. I did notice the tires rub on the bed quite a bit. They do still rub on the front. I did do some, already do some trimming on it. That is one of those free mods. Obviously you don't really have to do that. It doesn't rub terribly bad. I just wanted it a little bit less rubbing because the Lexan noise on the tires can be a little bit of annoying. So it is a hinged body. I'm gonna get this popped off here for y'all to take a look at. Doesn't always like to come off easy. So as you can see there, you have the little hinge. Just clips right in off and off on the front, and then these are the little mounting brackets to attach the bed on. And what's nice is these little screws kind of bite in here between the battery on the back side, so it kind of helps hold it in place a little bit. It still is a little wonky just because, you know, the battery pack and the wires there rub, so it can offset. It gets a little weird sometimes, but once you get a good feel of how to put it on there, shouldn't have any issues with it. It does come with Underdrive gears directly in the box. What's already installed in it when you get it is just, you know, normal Krawler. They're the same drive ratio front and rear. Not a big deal. I'll pull my 3S LiPo out of here just so that we get a better view of what I'm about to go over with y'all. Set that off to the side. Alright, so as you can see, most of our weight and everything is mounted up at the front. They have a forward mounted motor, really low center of gravity on this truck. It is an LCG. It's pretty much a comp crawler right out of the box. Obviously, you know, if you're going to really enter competitions, there's a lot of things you're going to want to change on this, but if you're just getting into it, it is a great truck to start with, in my opinion. If you want to do comp style or want LCG or whatever it is. Otherwise, I would still recommend going with a scaler like an SCX10 or a TRX4, or even the Redcat Gen 8, which I have, which we will do a review on later on. So we got the ESC and servo mounted right up front. 3-link with a pan hard bar. And then, like I said, I already put the 20% underdrive gears in this. It's very simple to do. I watched a few reviews on YouTube of the truck myself and how to install those, and I noticed some of the guys are taking a few too many steps to install that. I found a quicker way to do it. You're welcome to try it. If it works for you, awesome. If not, feel free to take a couple other things off. So how I did it, I did not have to remove any tires or anything like that. A lot of guys do. There's really no point because you do get enough wiggle room out of it otherwise. So I undid the shock on this side or this side. It really doesn't matter which. It's your choice. Once you undo that shock, you'll undo the drive shaft right here. And then if you just flex it out, the side that you took the shock off on the top will go just enough for that drive shaft to slide out. Then you're going to come up front and do the same, do that up here, but you don't have to loosen up anything up here or take it off. Once you do all that, you should be able to just take these 2 screws out, and that'll pull right out of there, and then you can throw in your underdrive gears. Obviously, make sure you have some marine grease or other type of grease for an RC crawler or any RC so that you can get that in there. You don't ever want dry gears on each other. And then at the rear, the factory shock mount is all the way back here. I put it on this front one. It did make it sit a lot lower, has a lot less travel in the rear, but it crawls up things. So as you can see, it's factory with a Dean's connector. I myself prefer XT60, but Dean's is just fine for what the truck is out of the box. I mean, battery plug is really all preference anyway, so it's really up to you what you want to do there. Like I said, I prefer XT60s, so that's usually what I swap out to. Of course, there's going to be a lot of upgrades coming from this and I'm going to list those off when we come back after we do after we get them all installed, and I'll go through a list and tell you about each one, why I did it, and how it's helped or if it hindered it, which we will obviously see in that testing. So as you can see, the battery is mounted back here. Because I took the bed off, I didn't really care much for, you know, just seeing a normal battery. I had this kind of diamond plate duct tape laying around, so I put it on there. Kind of made it look a little bit like a toolbox. Not a big deal. Just wanted to help the look a little bit so you weren't just staring at a battery, you know. So I think that is pretty much it for what I have done with the truck so far. Obviously I have already driven it quite a bit. I've had it a little over a week. If you want to see another impression review of the same exact truck, I did let my buddy Ryan over at Maximum RPM RC do a review. He just posted that up on Sunday, and that link will be down in the description. So for now, let's get everything back on here and let's get out to the trails. I apologize, y'all. I have to add this in after I said we'd go to the upgrades. I completely forgot to show you guys the remote. These grips are actually completely removable, as far as it said on Redcat's site. I myself have not attempted to try to remove them, but it is very comfortable. As you can see here, I have a little thumb extension I 3D printed, just so that I can one-hand it. It makes it easier for filming. It is a great setup just with this little bit of a angled steering here, so that you can stand comfortably and just work it like this. But I do recommend, if you'd like to one-hand your crawlers, to 3D print yourself one of these or buy one on Amazon or eBay or wherever you can find it. One thing I don't care much for on this remote is the push or hold for the trims. I'd much prefer a dial. I feel like you get better adjustability out of that. I mean, that's not a big deal, but you know, maybe in the future we'll switch to another remote, or we'll stick with this one. We'll just see how it goes. I mean, it is 4-channel. One feature I really wanted to touch on is it has a built-in LED light. There's a little button right there that says LED. and you turn that on and you have a little flashlight. And you can't really tell right now because it's kind of daylight and I have my lamp and everything on, but it is very bright. If you go watch Ryan's video from Maximum RPM RC, you'll see that he went over that himself, and he actually turned his lights off to be able to see how it would, you know, how bright it actually is. Unfortunately, I can't do that because I do not have a curtain on my window over here behind me or on my sliding glass door over there, thanks to my wonderful cats. we are back here from going out on the trails. I'm sure you noticed that at the end of seeing this truck run, you saw also a red version of the Ascent. So that red one is from a little short video I did a couple days ago with my cousin. The red Ascent is actually his. He just picked it up around the same time I got this blue one. He's done the same exact mods to his as I have with mine. It handles just as good. Obviously, there's just a little bit more body rubbing because, as you can see, this one is dovetailed and the red one is not. He has some wheels and tires that he just got for it. I think he'll have them on by this weekend, so when we get all the upgrades onto my Ascent, he should have his wheels and tires on, so we can kind of compare a little bit of a somewhat stock Ascent to one that is heavily modified. Onto my impressions of the truck. This thing is arguably the best crawler out of the box I've ever driven. I really don't have anything as far as complaints go, and I really don't need to do all the mods to it, but I've always had this kind of bug when it came to, you know, RCs, motorcycles, cars, anything that drives. I can't keep it stock. I have to heavily change it. Most of the parts are actually being delivered right now as I am talking to you on this video. I do have a couple things here with me that I will just tease to you real quick before we get into the upgrade installs, because the upgrade install is going to be through a time lapse, and then I'll go over each one with you. But I'll show you what I have here now, just so you can get a general idea of what's going to be happening. So we have these SSD Assassin 1.9 wheels with some Proline TA crawlers on it. I do not have foams in these. I went with the Injora blue soft silicone. I also have those in my Gen 8 and I love them. And for the front tires, we have also added in their 21.5 brass rings. So we'll have a little bit of extra weight up front as far as the tires go, and that should help us with crawling up steeper obstacles. And then also what I have right here now is I went on to printables, and I found this cutout bed with a roll bar and then these super low profile shock mounts. So these are going to lay those rear shocks almost completely flat. It should give us a lot more flex. We'll see how that goes. I'm hoping it looks as good as it did in the pictures I saw on printables, because I could not find anything anywhere about anybody actually using these and how they performed. We also have the Losi mini T-springs. We are going to put the pinks up front and the reddish orange mediums in the rear. As far as other upgrades we have coming, we have a 70 kg servo, Hobbywing Fusion SE 1800 kV, and then a few little odds and ends. But I won't tell you too much about it right now, just kind of give you a general idea of what we're getting into when the time lapse happens. If there's anything within that time lapse you want to know specifically how to install, just feel free to leave a comment below and I will do my best to get a video of that for you. I should be able to slow down the time lapse. If not, I will happily take those things off and do it again if I absolutely need to. Some of these things are also going to be done to my cousin's trucks, because I just remembered he also has those Losi mini T springs. I'm going to help him do those, and he actually just texted me right now, and we have to, I have to help him do his wheels and tires. It's his first crawler. He's had two Jado 3.3s since we were way back in high school, which is really aging myself here. I know I'm only 30, but I feel a lot older. And then he also has a JLB Cheetah as well. So the Ascent is really his first crawler. I've had a few crawlers. I started with a Tamiya. I think it was a CR01. It was a Bronco. I got that when I was stationed over in Japan. It was a lot of fun. I didn't stick with it very long because it was, you know, very toy grade compared to hobby. So then I switched to an SEX10, and I still have that, and we will do a review on that because that has gone through a lot of changes. But as far as this Ascent, it is a great truck. These tires are nice and sticky, and they're super soft. As you can see, I can just squeeze them right down. The stock foams aren't bad. There really isn't much, you know, like for side hill. There's a lot of give there. I think that could be fixed with some different foams, but of course these tires are glued to these wheels, and most people want more weight down low, so they're going to switch to an aftermarket aluminum wheel anyway. The steering is actually really good. I do wish it was just slightly more powerful, but that's why we are going to upgrade that servo. Same thing with the motor. Everything is great in this brush setup, but there's a little bit, I don't know, I wouldn't really call it cogging. It's just once you start going uphill sometimes, it's like it loses just a little bit of its oomph, which to me is really weird being a 42 turn motor, because my SCX10 has a 21 turn right now, and I believe that crawls better, but that also could be because of the gearbox I have in it. So we will compete those two against each other, this and the SCX10 against each other at some point, because they are kind of set up the same. The only difference is once this is upgraded, it should have more flex in the rear and minimal up front. And the SCX10 is opposite, with almost no flex in the rear and a lot of flex up front, because we have 110 millimeter shocks up front on the SCX10 and only either 80 or 90 millimeter in the rear that are almost laid down flat. So they're going to be very similar in setup, and we'll see which one does better. I'm probably going to be real upset with myself if the Ascent loses to my SCX10, just because my SCX10 has pretty much been a dedicated, you know, Temu wish parts build, and it's just, I've gotten really lucky with it. This one, we're going a little bit more higher end mods. So, I mean, it crawls great. There's really no complaints about it out of the box. Like, you don't have to do any of these little mods. I already did. It's a fun truck just to drive the way it is. The first day I took mine out and my cousin took his out, his girlfriend's son actually came out with us with his TRX4 Sport, and you know, we were all crawling on the same things, and you know, Brian and I, my cousin, we never really had any issues with him getting hung up too much. We did flip a couple times. You'll see you saw in the video that, you know, it is a little front heavy if you go too slow down stuff. We'll see if the new motor will make any changes with that, because we'll have a little bit more adjustability with programming. But otherwise, it really is a great truck. I mean, you can't really beat it for the price of about $310 or $320, if I remember correctly. I mean, for out of the box, if you're looking to get into crawling, and you know, this really does fall within that budget lineup. If you don't want a trail truck and you want to do more comp style stuff, or make like a true looking off-road rig, I would recommend this. I have seen in the Redcat Facebook group, there is one or two guys that are currently working on a leaf spring conversion for it. I found that really interesting. I've always wanted to do a leaf spring rig myself. I will not do it to this truck, but maybe in the future we'll get ourselves a Fusion or the Red Ascent, and we'll do a leaf spring conversion on that, and we'll compare the leaf spring one to this one and just see, you know, the differences, which one works the best, which one's more fun, and you know, all that other mumbo jumbo. So without wasting any more of your time, let's get into putting these upgrades on. Alright, y'all, we got almost all of our upgrades installed now. We are still waiting for a few things, but the shipping was delayed on them, so we will come to those at a later date. 4 of those items that are coming, I added after I'd already started the video and got an idea on what I wanted to do for the build, so some things might look different when we come back to do the upgrades. But we will do a time lapse on that as well, so you will see me change certain parts, and we're going to get rid of some things and keep some others. The only thing we don't have yet that should possibly be here tomorrow are the aluminum lower links, link mounts, I should say, I'm sorry, from TREAL. But those aren't a big deal. I mean, the ones that are on it that are stock are fine for right now. I can handle waiting until tomorrow or later in the week. So let's go ahead and get into the upgrades and things like that I have done here. So to start off, as you can see, I have added a bunch of new stickers to the body. I unfortunately had some camera issues during this portion and when I added the rear link risers, so I did not get that on time lapse. But both are very simple to do, obviously stickers, self-explanatory. The rear link risers there, I don't know how well you can see that. You just undo the screw and the nut that hold the 2 links in, slide them up, put that link riser in, slide the bolt through, and then it comes with another bolt to raise those links. On top of that, you can see we have the 3D printed cutout bed and roll bar. We are running a dual 3S Shorty pack in parallel. Hidden underneath all that wiring is a Hobbywing Fusion SE 1800 kV. And then we just also installed a 70 kg steering servo from Yipin. On top of that, we have some lovely chrome truck nuts, thanks to my cousin down in Florida, Bobby, who sent those to me. We also have some brass diff covers, front and rear. We have these gorgeous SSD Assassin 1.9 wheels, front and rear. We are running the blue soft Injora silicone inserts, and these are Proline Krawler TAKX tires. And on top of that, we also have brass inserts in just the front tires from SSD, the 21.5 ones. And then lastly for our upgrades right now is we did the mini T spring swap. We did the medium springs in the rear and the soft up front. We got rid of the internal springs and went to 50 weight shock oil. I used Traxxas oil because that's what I had on hand at the time. And then before I forget, we also have these low profile shock mounts. That is about it for the upgrades. I did add a GoPro mount to the camera just so I can get some other angles on footage. But like I said, we will come back for the other upgrades at a later date. For now, let's get out there, do some crawling. I'll give you my final thoughts, and then we'll just watch it crawl around for a bit. See y'all soon. Alright, welcome back, y'all. We're all done doing the test. Everything performed way beyond my expectations. The amount of travel we have in the rear is just, it's absolutely insane now. Front is still kind of limited, but being so soft, it kind of keeps the front down, and then having those upper link risers helps keep more weight to the front. That's why I was able to climb up that vertical rock wall that you saw there. The steering servo is perfect. I'm sure once I get more done in this whole area for the course and have some more technical stuff, we'll actually get to use the steering to our advantage when we're stopped on a side hill, switch it back and forth to get it to slide down, things like that. The 20% overdrive, I'm really glad I did it. I think it even helps it even more so with climbing up those steep inclines. Especially all the, I mean, we did add some weight to the back with this bed and rack system, but I don't think we overkilled it. And having those two Lipos on either side really helped with its side hill ability. But like I said, we got more parts coming, and there's going to be some other things we're going to change on it. But all in all, this is an amazing rig for the money, whether you dump $1,200 into it like I did, or if you just buy a stock one and for the $320-ish roughly. Either way, you're going to end up with a great machine that you're going to love for years to come. Looking forward to seeing y'all in the next video.